I like to concentrate on the larger shapes in the beginning when I start adding my vector shapes. So in this case, I'm going to start with the hair. And there's many different ways of drawing shapes in Illustrator, but this time I'm going to show you a technique that in some cases I like to use. So instead of using the pen tool or the pencil, this time I'm going to use the blob brush tool. And I'm just going to start drawing around the edge, trying to follow this shape. And most likely I won't be able to do it in one go because I actually like to draw from left to right, especially when I'm using a stylus. So that's just more comfortable for someone right-handed. So I'm going to draw the other line here. I'm trying to follow it as closely as I can. And if I make a mistake like there at the bottom, I can correct it later. Now, since I'm using the blob brush, I'm not going to worry about drawing over this small section here. I can always add that later. The main advantage of using the blob brush is that even though I did two separate lines, they are automatically connected because I didn't change the color. So it's just blended them together into one single shape. And here is a useful technique. If you want this to turn into a filled shape, so just fill the center part of this, use the direct selection tool, select one of the inner anchor points, and then press backspace once and twice, or delete twice. That way you remove the line in the center, and then it just turns it into a filled shape. So that's quite useful. Now, to fix the issues that we have here, there's a couple of things we can do. First of all, we can find the anchor points we want to move around and start editing things. But before we do that, first thing I like to always do is to simplify the shape. So that is from the object menu, you go to Path and Simplify. I have a keyboard shortcut for this, so I will be using that throughout this project. I am just going to check what was before and after. Yeah, I can see that the path didn't change too much. I'm just using undo, redo, and it actually looks fine. Of course, I could go even further if I wanted to. Adjusting this, I could go even less anchor points, but I'm going to stick with the automatic settings here. So that looks good. Now, what I would like to do is to move this detail a little bit closer to the original outline that I had in the sketch. And when I check this with my direct selection tool, there's actually no anchor point here. If I use the pen tool and I added a new point here, I could then use the direct selection tool and just drag it up like that. That's probably the easiest fix. And that actually looks quite good. However, there is a point here where I can see it's not a smooth transition from this curve segment to the other. So there is a break here. And the way to fix this is to have that anchor point selected and click on this icon here on the top. So to convert this into a smooth point. So that's already better. But if I wanted to, I could always adjust these handles a little bit further. And I'm happy with the way this looks, at least for now. It's going to work. I can select this other point here as well at the bottom and also do the same technique. So turn that into a smooth point. Already looks neater, and then we can just check the other ones. I think the rest looks good. Again, maybe turn that into a smooth point. And if you'd want to do this faster, what you can also do is to have the whole shape selected again and use the smooth feature as well. So that's again from the object menu, Path, Smooth. And then once again, we can increase this a bit. And without changing the path itself, I think we got a better result. So let's see before and after. It introduced a couple of additional points, but normally what happens is that it just moves the anchor points around to place them in a better position. So now if I select these anchor points, most of them will be smooth points. So yeah, we don't have to go around fixing them one by one. So yeah, Smooth and Simplify are two extremely useful features, and I just noticed that this point here came down a bit again, so I'm just going to fix that one more time. And the shape is looking really good all around, apart from this section here, of course, on the top. Now to fix this, again, there's lots of different ways of doing it. We can just select this last anchor point, and I'm going to do the opposite of the smooth technique. Now we are going to convert the selected anchor point to a corner. So if I click on that, we get now a corner, and I can drag this all the way up where I need it. And then I can just adjust these smooth points around it. I might even need to move this a little bit higher just to get a better corner here where I can align it like so. And then again here we can do the same thing. We have a nice curve, and then just use the pen tool. I'm going to add another anchor point here, and I can drag that out. Now this is automatically a smooth point, so I can again adjust it, drag it up, and then I feel like we are getting the right shape now. We just need one more handle on this side, and the easiest way to do it is to use the pen tool. Hold down Alt or Option key and click and drag the handle out. So we can create this handle, and we can also drag this one up a bit. That's it. And then to get rid of this other handle, we can just drag it down and align it in the direction that we need it. So here we split the handles and just adjust this a little bit further, and now we get a very nice result. I think this one is the only point here that we need to fix a little bit. This is actually not a smooth point, so I'm just going to make sure it is. I clicked on the smooth feature and it looks much better. Now, one other thing that you can do is, instead of using the smooth feature on an individual anchor point or on the whole object, you can just select a section. In this case, I selected these few anchor points here, and then go through the menus again and choose smooth. And as I increase that, I can see if I am getting a better result or not. And this is actually doing a really good job refining my curve. So if I click away, now I can see before and after, before and after. It's much more balanced, and of course these anchor points will be smooth points. So they look great. And let's just zoom back to see the whole shape. Yeah, I am happy with the way this looks. Maybe this section here needs to be dragged in a little bit, just like that. And I feel like we got a very good alignment all around. You can also check this without the sketch being on. And yep, I like how this looks. Maybe here we can just tweak it a little bit more around this side here. Feel like that could be fixed just ever so slightly rounder on that side. And of course, you don't always have to stick to exactly how you drew the sketch. You can make changes to it if you feel like the flow of the shape looks better with those small alignments that you're doing. But yeah, so this is looking great already. Now it's time to move on and draw the other shapes. Now, when it comes to more angular shapes, shapes that are less curvy, for these, I still prefer to use the pen tool. With the pen tool, you can be very precise, and that's what I'm going to do here. So I'm going to draw the t-shirt now. And for the t-shirt, I'm going to start here on the top, and I will draw over it, and I'm overlapping the shape, and I'm actually going to go all the way to this point here. And then I am going to come down, click and drag to create that little curved segment there. And while I'm drawing, I'm going to change the color. This will be this pink color. So I'm just changing the fill color for that. And then because I created a curve here, I'm going to just click on this last anchor point to remove that. And then I am going to continue drawing. In this case, I will just draw I think I'm going to make this a straight line here. Or if we wanted to, we can click and drag to have another curve. And then another straight line is coming. I am going to draw this straight line all the way down here, trying to make this shape as simple as possible. I want to contrast also the shape on the top, which is very curvy, with this more angular shape. And then I'm going to click and drag and create this next curve right there. Okay, so that is looking good. And I feel like we have just one additional shape for this to work. And that's, of course, this part here. So I'm just going to draw that quickly. And even though I don't have to, it's still a good practice to close every object. So I'm going to close this shape as well.